And now we move swiftly into the 80s. Kevin Bremner only played for Millwall between 1983 and 1985, but his aggression, commitment and never say die attitude on the pitch will always see him held in high regard by the fans. Signed for the club by George Graham, I went to meet my old gaffer to discuss his time at the Den. Lions TV, welcome back. We're covering the 80s with an ex-Millwall player, absolutely paramount to everything Millwall represents. I didn't personally get to see you play, but I played under you. It's Kevin Bremner, briefly. How you doing, mate? You good?
Yes, good, thank you.
So, when I put out on social media that we would be interviewing you, it got a really good response. Really, really good. People said, he epitomised everything that a Millwall player should be. Wore his heart on his sleeve, got stuck in.
When I say to people now on Facebook, I was tailor-made for Millwall.
Yeah.
The way I played, my attitude, the fact that I kept on running. I keep telling people the game's not over till the final whistle.
Yeah, 100%. And you scored. You had a good scoring record in general in English football.
Yeah.
You had a good career, but you scored for us. I think it was 36 goals in 92 games.
Something like that, yeah.
So I've done my research.
Just over 1 in 3.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good return.
Yeah. It wasn't only that. It was the people round about me as well scored goals as well.
Yeah. Signed from Colchester for £25,000.
What a bargain.
What an absolute bargain in today's money, especially. But back then, I suppose it was a little bit more money back then. Yeah. Was you signed by George Graham?
Yeah, George. Well, I'm the first player that George paid money for because he had Lovers on a free on trial. Then he had David Stride was on a free. Peter Wells was on loan. Who else came on loan? It
was a bit of a transitional period, wasn't it?
Yeah. He paid 25 for me, and then he sold Trevor Aylott to Barnsley or Luton for about 85, 90 grand, and then he took in Kuzi and Anton.
Yeah, Anton. How do you say that? I can't even attempt it, but he was a great player, wasn't he?
Excellent, made me loads of goals.
Yeah. So, was you part of? Was it The Great Escape? There is actually a documentary. There's a documentary. I think George Graham took over, 16 points, rock bottom, on the verge of going. I mean, let's have it right. You played for Millwall at a time when things weren't fantastic. Until you signed, then you changed everything.
Tell you what, I was down on loan at Plymouth in January, and Lincoln were flying high at the top of the 3rd division, and Millwall were 10 points adrift from the Safe Club.
Jesus.
In the 3rd division, and they both came in for me, and I went with George because I think he wanted me more.
Yeah.
Or maybe because it was he was
Scottish.
I
didn't want to say that. The Scottish connection.
No, but he did. He made me feel wanted, and
yeah.
And
I chose Millwall.
Yeah,
What was it like? Your first impressions of the Den?
Well, my first game there was only just over 2,300 people there.
So
even with that amount of people in it, the atmosphere was electric.
Really?
Oh yeah, I think we beat Exeter 5-2 or so. I didn't score. I think Dean Neal scored a hat-trick actually. Being
in and around the Den, obviously we were just discussing off camera, it's not there anymore. It was a random place. But it was
in the middle of nowhere, really.
It was. It is on the back of a grand track, underneath an arch. It's sort of one of them old school grounds that looked like it grew there, didn't it? First impressions, of not only the ground but the fans.
They loved the trier.
Yeah.
And as I said, I was tailor-made for them.
Yeah. To this day, I think if you just chase the goalkeeper down and stick one on him, everyone's like that. They love it, don't they? They love it.
It's funny you should say that. I've been out injured for 6 or 7 weeks, and we were playing Bournemouth in the Freight Rover or whatever it was at the time.
Yeah.
And it was a Tuesday night at the Den, and George put me on for the last 20 minutes, and I've chased the left back down. Hooray! Millwall fans. He's passed it the centre half, chased him down. Hooray! The other centre half, chased him down. Hooray! Right back got it. Hooray! Got played back to the keeper. Wallop. Brilliant. The ref pulled me and he says, Brems, he says, pretend I'm giving you a telling off. He says, don't let the crowd wind you up.
The crowd, to this day, they'll still thrive off that. And you're right, you've just got to be a try. But you scored your fair share of goals as well.
Oh yeah.
helped by, you said players around you. What sort of players other than Anton? Steve Lovell would have been there about that time?
Lovers was right back at the time, and then he played up front with me. I can't remember, was it second season or the first season? Or full season. I joined in February 83, and I can't remember whether Lovers went up front in 83 or 84. Maybe it was season 84-85, yeah. he changed to play up front.
So let's set the scene there. So you've joined the club, and we are literally, you said we're 10 points from safety. How did George Graham sell that to you?
He honestly
did. He got a whiskey out, didn't he?
No, he didn't. No. I wouldn't have done it anyway. No, he just wanted me, and I thought, gee whiz, he really does.
Yes, nice for one. Yeah. What was he like as a manager? Would he get involved with the players, or was he a little bit of a disciplinarian?
Very much a disciplinarian. But there was a guy who came on loan from QPR, Steve Burke.
Right.
As a left winger. He made me quite a few goals as well as when he was on loan. But I used to go out with him on a Wednesday and a Thursday. You're not supposed to go out 40 hours before the game, but we went out Wednesday and Thursday in a bar cave in Blackheath, as it was then. I don't know what it's called now. But we used to have a few. I didn't drink wine before, but he drank wine, so I just drank what he drank. So I drank white wine as well. So that was a Wednesday and a Thursday. So.
Because George Graham, I've heard rumours from other old players said, well, not rumours, confirmed, that he'd make you, if he caught you out, he'd give you the worst jobs in the world. He'd make you run up and down the stands or clean the stands.
That wouldn't make any difference to me, would it?
You were still running from Saturday, putting tackles in. You got the Great Escape, and then sort of the next season.
Next season was we was there or thereabouts, but we weren't quite good enough.
Right.
Yeah. And then in my 2.5 seasons there, so in the second season we just went from strength to strength, and I can't remember whether it was Doncaster one week, and then who was the other team? I scored 2 great headers. Bristol Rovers, actually. I scored 2 absolute belters of headers, and they were both from Anton's free kicks.
What was he like? I mean, I've heard he was good.
Oh, Anton?
Yeah.
he fell over and got a penalty.
But other than that, he was a decent winger, wasn't
he turned people inside out.
What was he like in the dressing room?
He was all right. I mean, see, Cousy and him came together.
Dave Cusack.
Yeah, Dave Cusack. Yeah, and they were the Dave Cusack was a big player, and he knew a lot of people as well.
Yeah.
And he had a few arguments with George.
Yeah.
Because he would stick up. He
wouldn't have it.
He would stick up for himself with George. He would let him paste him down or take him down a step or two. But no, Cousy had a couple of boots flying.
Oh really? Yeah, because I was saying earlier, the drinking culture in football's gone out of it now.
Yeah.
Back in the sort of when I was late 80s, early 90s, a kid, you didn't know of it, but finding out what you know back then now, that sort of made players, that sort of made a team, and that's sort of out of football now. Was there a good drinking culture and a good togetherness in the dressing room?
In the season we stayed up in the Great Escape, we all after a game we'd go to the Royal Albert on Shooters Hill.
Yeah.
Just going on the right hand side as you go up.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's where we went after the game, and that we bonded in there.
Yeah.
And we had a few beers and swell and good laugh and all the rest of it. But it was the following season. It was a Crown and Anchor, and the season after that it was a Crown and Anchor.
You don't remember the fixtures, you remember the pubs. Is that how you turned it around in that dressing room at Mill? Is that how you sort of went from just narrowly avoiding games? What division would you have gone into?
Fourth
division, which is now League
2.
League 2 now, yeah.
Doesn't sound so bad, does it? But
it dresses it up a bit, doesn't it?
It dresses it up a bit rather than the 4th division. Yeah.
4th division.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. So
I think Mill might have gone out of business.
Yeah, mate, I think you could have been right.
To be fair to Thorny done well to get George there. I don't know how he managed to get
Thorny?
George. Brian Thorny was a chairman.
Oh, he was the chairman back then, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's... I mean, I've had a lot of good meal times in my lifetime. But the 80s, funny enough, the late 80s was very successful, but the early 80s wasn't so much. And there was hard times at the club. But you said even so, the fans were still phenomenal.
Oh yeah, as I said, even with 2,300 fans there, and well, the effort I put in, they appreciated the hard work.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, my dad is as well, people don't know, but I played under you briefly a long time ago, and he said Kevin Bremner's the manager. Kevin Bremner. I didn't.
You didn't know
and
who
he said
he
he's
was.
fucking brilliant. He said he said he scored an header once at the Den. He said he dived in and headed it, and he said he fucking took a whack and kicked on the nose. He said he got up. He said didn't even know. Just went yeah. Didn't even know you'd had. There's people like your nose is hanging off, and you're like, don't worry about it. Do it again in a minute.
That's just the way it was.
Yeah.
I mean, you see, the euphoria of scoring goals outweighed any pain.
Yeah, of course. So you ended up obviously leaving the club eventually.
Yeah.
Was that still under George Graham?
That was George, yeah.
What happened there?
He greedy bugger didn't give me any money.
Oh, what, he didn't want to pay you?
No.
Because as I said, you talk to people and say, yeah, Kevin Bremner epitomised Millwall, what a perfect player for Millwall, as you've said to me as well. So then to see you leave after 2 seasons, I'm looking at that thinking, what's happened there?
Yeah.
He wasn't tailing off at that stage because you went and scored a load of goals elsewhere.
Yeah. No, I was probably in my prime then, at 25, 26 years old.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then you went to Reading, so scored a load of goals at Reading.
Yeah.
So what, George didn't want to get the chequebook out?
No, he didn't want to give me any more money. Simple as that. I got more money to go to Reading, and then when I brought to Brighton, I got even more money.
You scored
from
a few at Brighton, didn't you?
Yeah, Brighton's the best contract I ever signed.
Yeah.
I thought I was in the big time.
Well, you ain't doing bad.
Oh, this is through the move. I had the misfortune of buying my first house off of Paul Scally in Donaldson Road in Shoes Hill.
Dodgy bollocks. Paul Scally, wasn't he? I remember him. So yeah, that was a shame to see you leave the club. But as I said, when you talk about, I regard you, although I didn't actually personally get to see you play, but the way people spoke about you, I said you give everything, and you epitomised it. A short-term legend at the club, similar to, I would put Kevin Muscat in that bracket.
Oh, well,
Steve Claridge in that bracket.
At the time, well, when I was there, it was Harry Cripps I was getting likened to.
Yeah, oh really?
So that was high praise indeed.
Yeah, definitely. Who else was in around that squad of yours? Because I'm relying on you a bit here because I was alive. I was free. So
Peter Wells was the goalkeeper for a couple of seasons, and then Paul Sampson took over.
I sort of remember.
Lovers was right back for a while, and then he was centre forward. Rhino was right back after that.
Oh, Keith Stevens.
Yeah.
Oh, let's chat about Rhino.
Rhino, he is Mr. Millwall.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Mr. Millwall.
Another one. He's a one club man, isn't he?
Yeah.
Only ever played for Millwall and managed us.
Yeah.
What was he like?
He was tremendous. Tough in the tackle. He could take anything.
It wasn't at Millwall a great deal of time, but in those two seasons,
2 and a bit.
What games stick out to you? Good games, big wins,
in fact,
or losses, and you got a bollocking?
No. In fact, another of my clubs, Reading, in the season that we stayed up in the Great Escape, I think it was 2 or 3-0 down at half time. Ian Stewart, who was on loan from QPR at the time, he was an Irish international, Stewie, he made me loads of goals as well. He got sent off in the first half with 5 minutes to go, and then we was 2 or 3-0 down at half time, and then I think Dean Neal was the other one that got sent off, and so we're down to nine men
and 3-0 down.
2 or 3-0 down.
Oh dear.
And we got back to 2-2 or 3-3. I can't remember. Theo says it's the best game he's ever seen me play.
Theo Foley.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just talk more about if you just being around Millwall, being around the Den, just what it was like to play at the Den, and any associations you had with the fans.
Well, years later, in 1987 probably, I went to Brighton, and a guy called Mike Trusson came as well.
Right.
Doug Rugby came. Dean Wilkins came. Who else did he sign? Barry Lloyd. And Truss he says, I always remember you, he says, down at the Den, he says, you lads were defending the corner and you're singing, no one likes us, we don't care.
But while you was on the pitch?
Yeah.
Just chanting along?
Yeah, the fans were singing it, so I was singing it as well. And I said, I'm thinking, you're off your bloody head, you are, Bremner.
Yeah, imagine you're waiting for a corner and the striker's singing the same song as the fans. You'd think, what the fuck, wouldn't you? You would, wouldn't you?
That's just the way it was.
Yeah. Was you sad to go, leave the club?
Oh, I didn't want to go. Want to go. I phoned Theo from Reading and asked him, get George to change his mind. In fact, it was from Paddington Station, I think. I was before mobile phones.
Yeah, you would have been. You were on the train to Reading and then, hang on, I can't do this. Theo, you've got to get on the George Graham for me and change his mind.
I tried to.
Get the keys to his safe. Dish out the Brems a couple.
Really Scotch gay.
Oh, Kev, honestly, thank you. Two superb interviews with two ex-Millwall players that epitomise everything that the club stands for, takes us perfectly into the late 80s and the most iconic era of Millwall Football Club's history. Following the struggles of the early 80s, the Great Escape and playing in front of crowds of less than 4,000, the club turned it full circle, and on the 2nd of May 1988, a 1-0 win at Hull saw Millwall Football Club promoted to the top flight of English football for the first and only time in their history. After completing the Great Escape, George Graham started to rebuild the club and lay some serious foundations, but George's good work would not go unnoticed, and unfortunately for Millwall, Arsenal and the big time came calling, and in 1986 he left the club. His replacement was a fellow Scotsman. John Docherty was somewhat of a controversial appointment, having only ever managed once before in the Football League at Cambridge. He had briefly been assistant to Frank McClintock at Brentford, but the Doc had been out of the game since 1983. However, any doubts Millwall fans had were quickly put to bed. Docherty picked up where George Graham left off and added some players to the squad that would go down in Millwall folklore. Tony Cascarino from Gillingham, Terry Hurlock from Reading, Ian Dawes, QPR, Jimmy Carter, QPR. The Doc had pulled off a masterstroke, recruiting London born and bred hard-working players that had learned their trade in the lower leagues and were hungry for a shot at the big time. And it worked. Millwall were promoted to the top flight of English football, and to this day John Docherty remains the first and only manager in our history to achieve it.
Getting into the spirit of the evening.
Previously to this documentary, I've already interviewed some players from that era. Tony Cascarino, Terry Hurlock and Ian Dawes, to name just a few. So now I want to look at things from a fan's perspective. Nick Hart of the superb Act Home Millwall podcast is a pillar of the Millwall community. He's been involved heavily in the fan base for the last 15 years in podcasts, radio shows and fanzines. And today we're going to go and meet him and not only discuss the glory days, but the transition from the old den to the new. Nick, thanks so much for joining us today.
Good to see you, Dave.
Good to see you, mate. Really appreciate your time today. From 1988, 89 onwards, the promotion season, the relegation, I've got vivid memories of a very, very important part of our history. So let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for you for a little bit of guidance. Your memories as a man, as a grown man, a 1980s Nick Hart. What was a 1980s Nick Hart?
Oh God almighty, you wouldn't... My ex-wife might have a different viewpoint. Going into Christmas, I think we're about mid-table. We were getting 6,000 or 7,000 at home, Coldblow Lane, where we are today, and there was no real sense that the hope was kind of
it was
foundering a little bit. We were mid-table. What was happening? Then we went on a roll, and I mean the rest is history.
We got promoted, and I do remember a lot of our first season in the not the Premier League, which would now be the Premier League, Division 1 in today's terms. The top 5 English football, today's terms of Premier League. Top at Christmas. What was that like?
We were top. We went top. We went top. I think it was about October. We beat QPR at home, 3-2, take us to the top of the league. It was incredible. You had a series of big moments. The first game at home in Division 1, which I never dreamed I would see. There were blokes who followed this club all their life, lived and died and never saw it. We were serious contenders to win the Football League until probably around March. The wheels started coming off.
Unfortunately, you said the wheels did come off. They didn't ever come back on, and the next season we was relegated.
You know, it was a roller coaster ride. We'd had a great season the year before, and I think there was an expectation that we could get relegated. Teddy actually stayed with us after we got relegated back to Division 2.
Cass left at that point.
Cass left at that point. We lost Hurlock, but Teddy Sheringham, other people called him all sorts of names. I will never do that because he stuck around when he didn't probably have to.
So the gates did finally close for the very last time.
Yep.
And as you're saying, in typical Millwall fashion, we went out with a bang.
We did, in pitch invasion.
And a 3-0 home defeat. A 3-0 home defeat against Bristol Rovers.
Yeah,
what do you remember the last day? I remember, sorry, I'll just get in first because I might say my memories are more vivid, so you can maybe give us a more extended version. People with buckets and spades, people ripping signs down as they was coming in. There was actually a pitch invasion before the game ended, and some of the people on the floor digging pitch up. So what do you remember of that day?
I mean, the game was passable. I mean, obviously we got beat 3-0 to Bristol Rovers. It was billed as the last game ever then, so I think the crowd was quite fairly decent, 16,000, which is a decent crowd for the old Den. And then, as you say, there was this mayhem at the final whistle, absolute mayhem. People digging the pitch up. He's saying, "Don't dig the pitch up. We've got a fun day tomorrow." People breaking up the goals, the nets, everything you can lay your hands on. Of course, in the moment, I'm not a natural pitch invader. Listeners out there,
not even back then.
No, not really. No, I was never one for that. But of course, I went on the pitch. You've got to. It's the last day, and of course, I got this chunk of grass, and I got indoors, and in the cold light of day next back, what the fuck have I got that for? What am I going to do with that? Really?
And just like that, it was over. 83 years of Millwall Football Club's history reduced to rubble. It was a time of anger, confusion and anticipation. The old Den had its emotional ties for us all, but in the cold light of day, this was absolutely the right thing to do. With the club looking to move to the next level, coupled with the devastating Hillsborough disaster, a brand new 20,000 all-seater stadium just a short distance away wasn't just necessary, it was compulsory. Here lies the Den, murdered by Reg Burr, the banners read. But it was all academic. The deal was done. Many fans left their Hart Coldblow Lane to make the short trip to Zampa Road. And on the 4th of August 1993, the first football was kicked at the new Den. And here we are, from the old Den to the new, or a long goal kick, as Reg Burr correctly put it.
It did.
Nick, didn't he?
A long goal kick, and yeah, it would be a long goal kick, but it's not far. You can see both stadiums from up here on the hill. Opening night 1993 versus
Sporting Lisbon.
Sporting Lisbon, featuring Luis Figo, who was an unknown player at that time.
Oh, really?
He actually played at the Den. It was the highlight of his career, they say.
First ever goal. First ever goal at the Den, scored by John Kerr.
John Kerr, yeah, a long forgotten player, but not one of my favourites. But he scored the opening night goal.
He's claimed to fame that.
He is.
What were your first impressions of the new ground coming there on the opening night?
My first impressions was, and it'll sound a bit cheesy, I apologise to the watchers, but I was actually so proud of what we'd achieved. It was immense. There were no new stadiums built in London at that time. I think
we was the first.
Highbury was the last one. That was not pre-First World War, so we were the first. And you know, although we have this emotional pull with the old ground, the Coldblow Lane, it was clearly of its time. And we'd constructed this beautiful, I mean, it sounds odd now because it looks a bit rusty and a bit weather worn now, but at the time it opened, it was this brilliantly lit, fantastic constructed stadium, and I was so immensely proud and slightly awestruck that we'd achieved it.
Like you say, we were one of the first, and I think we did it at the perfect time, because now you see clubs like Spurs recently doing it. There's that feel of too much of a new age place now, where this is our new Den, but in effect, it's fairly old.
It has, in its way, it reminds me of the old ground, because it is a little bit rusty. It's a little bit impractical in places. It's got an old-fashioned kind of look to it now. The atmosphere in the new Den matches the old ground. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. The old ground had an intimidation factor, that's for sure, and on its day it was loud. The new ground does very, very well, I think. I mean, some of the stuff we take it for granted as Millwall fans. We call bad atmospheres what other people give their right arms for. So no, opening night, amazed, absolutely amazed that we'd achieved.
Was there really a sense in the air of bigger and better things to come? Because that was the plan. That's why it was a 20,000 all-seater. We was heading for the Premier League. We was aiming for the Premier League.
We were not long out of Division 1, top flight. The Premier League had arrived by that stage. This was being built with the intention of making Premier League football a reality then. It was a moment of high optimism for the club.
Dan, you mentioned it briefly. How does it compare to you, to the old ground? Does it feel like home?
Yeah. I mean, I said earlier on, I've been coming here now for 26 years. That's longer than I ever went to the old Den. The old Den was like your first house when you're a kid. You look back kindly on it. I'd love for another day to be able to get in there
just
again one more time.
That's what I've always felt.
But it's like when you lose anyone in your own life, you would give your right arm for one more conversation, one more day in their company, one more football match at the old Den would be fantastic. It was of its time. Its time had come. but we've done very, very well to get this ground.
And
I think this is a fantastic
I think
stadium.
me personally, and you'll join me, hats off to Reg Bird, maybe not in business aspects, but
Hats
in
off
the
to
interest of
Reg
the
Bird.
football club.
He was a very Millwall character.
Mate, and so are you, honestly. Thanks so much.